with that, I'll go ahead and move that we support that application. Is there a
I have
second?
some questions.
We'll have discussion after that. Is there a second?
I second.
So moved and seconded. Now we'll move into discussion. Commissioner Henderson.
For the, because we don't have any documentation before, it's just your visual presentation to rely on. Are you changing, is this just the landscape portion, the public space portion? Are you changing the number of units that are going to be offered in the second phase? Because all of that was pretty well hashed out when the project was initiated.
Yeah.
I know because this used to be 5D10, and I was the commissioner, and I'm very, protected. This was my project, and it looks very different than what it was originally presented to the community. And we fought hard to get an attractive project as opposed to the hardy plank crap that we were presented with. So we look forward to a really vigorous, attractive second part of that, of the project. And the fact that you showed up with a landscape architect excites me, because too often development projects think of landscaping as an afterthought. So this is exciting, but I just wanted people to respond to the questions. I'd appreciate it.
Currently the application that we've submitted to DDOT is for public space improvements. And we're still in the very early stages of thinking about the phase 2 building. And so as I mentioned, that's conceptual architecture. There's a lot of masonry on that architecture, but again, it's really just the streetscape improvements or the public space improvements that we've submitted and that we're here for your support on.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Lewis, or please?
Yeah, so on the 17th Street side, will you be doing both sides of 17th Street or just the side where the building is? And K Street, would it just these amenities?
Yeah, just on
just the
one
trees
side,
and everything? And is anything in that streetscaping that could slow the traffic down on 17th Street? Is there anything with landscaping can do for that, or is that just, that's not?
Not really, but I think one thing that this plan does is clarifies the location of the sidewalk as an extension, because right now it sort of it comes in and out, so we're basically kind of normalizing that edge. And we've been looking a lot at the neighborhood to sort of get the clues for how to match kind of at least the vocabulary of what's across the street. So we want this to fit in. I mean, right now it's an empty lot, so
Yeah, it's a nice one.
It'll be great when this is completed.
And we just, the lighting being matching, I think is not only important, but also the increase in lighting is something that 5DOT residents have been asking for quite a while. So if nothing else, I think, Commissioner Lee, your question, just activating that corner, I know you briefly mentioned it, but that corner at 17th and K will have an entrance, which presumably will have some pedestrian activity. So one can imagine that might also help a little bit with traffic.
And the building will be putting a lot of eyes on the street. When we talked about safety, I think that's going to really help, because right now there is just a huge missing tooth in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So this will really help. There's a lot of eyes on the street, and there's activities, an open foyer that will be looking into the public right away. So this will really help.
Any further questions or discussion from commissioners?
Yes. Would you accept an amendment to your motion regarding including directions to DDOT to remove the idling tour buses from along the 1600 block of Maryland Avenue that primarily park on the side of the street that's adjacent to the flats, with an improved landscape plan? We don't, and these buses don't serve our residents. They mainly serve Maryland residents who use us as a dumping point while they spew toxic fumes that are likely negatively impacting our health. And this is an opportunity. This is a proper opportunity for you all to get a project that's even better than when it started, and for the neighborhood to get a much enhanced and healthier streetscape.
So there was some discussion about that at the SMD meeting about parking along Maryland Avenue and parking around the property in general. And, I think that's typically outside of the scope of this type of application, but what we offered at the meeting was that Kettler would certainly be supportive if the ANC or whoever the appropriate body is to go to DDOT and request those changes. We would certainly support it.
Sounds good. So it's on you, Commissioner Roberts.
It is, I think I'm still unclear what the actual ask of DDOT is. Could you clarify that?
To remove, DDOT has the wherewithal, the power, the authority, to remove, to that strip of the 1600 block of Maryland Avenue to, forbid tour buses from parking and idling there. Not only will this improve visual streetscape, it will improve public health, it'll also
Yeah, and I don't
bring,
think
it'll bring our public safety crime issues down, because those cars will not be targets of burglaries, which, as you heard earlier, are up.
Right. I mean, as you've seen from the signs that are on Maryland Avenue, it's already illegal for tour buses to idle there. That being said, I have absolutely no problem with sending another letter that supports that and reasserts that when I do so.
So you accept the amendment?
As I said, yes, I'm happy to add that.
All right, very good, progress.
Any further discussion from commissioners?
First time
Oh,
we need
just
something
Commissioner
related
B.
to go.
When is phase two gonna start? Do you have a date?
We don't.
And will it be condos or apartments?
Undetermined, but most likely apartments.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Any questions, if there's no further from commissioners, any questions from the audience?
I have a question.
One minute.
Are there any green features? I know in the world of going green, what kind of energy efficient and sustainability properties does the building have?
Well, in terms of the landscaping, which I'll address that first because that's what we're here to talk about today, or actually Jimmy can pipe in, but it's a vacant lot today. That's, you know, a mix of basically dirt and asphalt. I haven't counted the number of trees and shrubs, but it's certainly a vast improvement of what's there today.
Okay.
In terms of the building itself, it'll be built to the district's current green standards for what's required of residential buildings.
Thank you. Number two and then number three. No, yeah.
Okay, obviously being a current resident of the flats, and we talked before, this is near and dear to me. And the current space is, I mean, littered throughout, hasn't been maintained since the deal was consummated with Kettler. I have serious concerns about how this space will be maintained, the cleanliness of this space will be maintained. Can you address that?
When you say the current space, are you talking about the space around the first phase? the
Well,
existing
since you
phase
brought
of
it
Los
up,
Alice?
my apologies, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Or
Both
the second
spaces,
phase.
but I was primarily referring to the new second phase.
This phase. Yeah, I think you're right that probably since Kettler purchased the property in April up until probably about a month or two ago, it had been left really in the hands of the third-party contractor that's occupying the space now, that's building or finishing up the streetcar project on H Street. We came in about a month ago, hired a landscape contractor to pick up the trash, clean up the overgrowth, start to screen some of the fence line. Some of the fence is unscreenable just because it's so overgrown. So as we move further along into phase two, that'll obviously get fixed. So from now until construction, yeah, I mean, you know, it's public property, but we want to do our part to try to keep it tidy. So hopefully you've seen some improvement over the last several weeks.
I have. What does a regular course of maintenance involve for you? Because I'm unclear.
Yeah, that's a really good question. In the public space, you know, I don't have anybody from our management team that could address. Obviously, anything on private property, Kettler management would control.
If I may, the owners, the property owners are responsible for maintaining the public space up to 18 inches beyond the curb.
Okay, so thank you for that clarification. So
Yes.
yes, Kettler management will maintain this.
There you go.
In terms of vegetation,
There you go.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, that still doesn't address my concern.
Yeah.
My concern, stated with specificity, is this. If anything, what do you know is a regular course of maintenance of the property that will be carried out? Will someone walk the grounds, for example, every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks?
I don't have an answer for that, but I can talk to our management folks, and you know, we can work together to come up with a plan that I think would make sense. You know, I don't want to say that somebody's going to walk, you know, every day or every other day when, you know, every other week might be appropriate. But yeah, we should definitely talk about that, because it is our obligation to maintain it, and it's also our obligation to keep this property looking great for our tenants, for our residents, and for future leasing prospects. So, you know, I think we've got some incentive to maintain this property as best as we can.
Alright, thank you, we're gonna move on to number 3.
Yeah, did you say you narrowed the entrance with the landscape? So what trees are we looking, my concern is that it seems to almost block the vision of the sidewalk for people leaving.
Oh, no, these are actually much taller and lived up, so you wouldn't have an issue. These are for the back. So what we did is there were two, the existing curb cut is huge, and I know you've seen it when you
Yeah.
drive
No, I
by.
walk my dog by it every day.
Drive 5 cars side by side, so we consolidated and made it narrower, removed the island there, and then incorporated the green on this side, so there's a lot more green adjacent to the buildings, and it's a lot more clear for the cars to make either left or the right. It's actually safer this way.
Okay, so you're saying they're tall trees, so it
Yeah.
must be the trunks?
Right, and it's further back, so you would stop here, but by that point, the view is all open, yeah.
Alright, number 3 is my last one. If, ma'am, we can make it number 4, we've gotta move on, if we can, so go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
I was just curious if you're picking like low water trees or maybe like eco trees that take up some air pollution and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, we have a palette of mostly native plants, that's what we were, targeting, and actually getting low maintenance, trees. You know, we haven't chosen specifically all of the planetary, because, that'll come later, but our goal is to use mostly natives. I mean, in Ginkgo, we could use some, but, the city will want, canopy trees for the street trees, and then the second tier, they normally like sort of an mid-sized tree.
Alright, if there's no further discussion, commissioners, I'll go ahead and call the question. So all for the amended motion, which is to support, the application, as described, with the amendment to include a request to DDOT that they enforce the bus idling law that is in place. That was moved, and I think we probably need a second, because that was amended. So can I get a second? Been moved and seconded, all for the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, that motion passes unanimously, congratulations.
Thank you.
And just to call that vote, that's by a vote of 6-0-0. Next up, we're gonna move, to Commissioner Lewis's item. This is zoning commission case 1407B regarding 1300 4th Street Northeast. Commissioner Lewis, would you like to have the floor?
Yes. Great Gulf presented before the